On the positive side,
Love Hate, by the way, available for free right now on Rotoworld.com, NBCSportsEdge.com. It is always free. As long as I work at NBC, it will always be free. So go check that out. Please give us you don't have to read it. I just want the clicks. Just click on it, skim it, whatever. You don't need to engage with it or anything like that. Just whatever. Just scroll over it. That's all I'm asking.
That's what it's
Throw
all
me
about.
a pity click. That's all a brother's asking for over here.
Speaking of pity clicks, the Cincinnati Bengals,
Yes,
0-2.
sir. Yeah.
But looking up, 5-point favorite at the New York Jets, and a guy that you love is Joe Mixon, who leads the league in carries, despite them being down the entirety of their first two games.
Running backs have been absolutely brutal this year. Not one running back has really performed up to snuff in 2 straight games, but you do like the volume. 56 touches. He leads all running backs with that through 2 weeks. He's had over 22 touches in both games. He's actually got a career-high 14.8% target share. So Joe Burrow is actually looking for him on third down in passing down situations. You think about this matchup with the Jets, and for the fact that it probably wasn't the best football move that Nick Chubb scored that third touchdown, the fact of the matter is Nick Chubb scored that third touchdown, right? 141 rushing yards and the 3 scores for Nick Chubb in a loss for the Browns. So you can run on the New York Jets. Mixon's been 0 for 4 on goal line carries so far. My expectation here is that touchdown regression is coming. I have Joe Mixon as a top 5 running back in week number 3.
Yep, you can run on the Jets. You can also pass on the Jets too.
You can do a lot of things to the Jets.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon might get some pass game usage as well, as he always does. Now, Leonard Fournette, who you foreshadowed earlier, he also makes the love list. Makes sense given what David Montgomery did to Green Bay.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that in a game in which, that's a team that's much more limited offensively, the Bears. And you knew it was, and they were down. They were down big, and they were on the road in Green Bay. And yet still, David Montgomery was able to produce against the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings in week 1, they were able to run on the Packers as well. So Leonard Fournette, who's had 23 touches in both games this year, at least 23 touches. Buccaneers 7th, by the way, in the NFL in rushing rate. And as we talked about earlier in the show, no Mike Evans. We don't expect Chris Godwin. Julio Jones either isn't going to play or is going to be limited. So what do you do against a Green Bay Packers defense that's allowing the 2nd most rushing yards to running backs through the first 2 weeks? You run Uncle Lenny. So massive workload in a good matchup against a Packers team giving up 6.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Give me all the Uncle Lenny this week. Easy RB1.
Yeah, I think the contrarian take would be that, the Bucs have no wide receivers, so the Packers will load up to stuff the run. Justin Fields only had 11 pass attempts. They were running constantly, and they still couldn't stop David Montgomery.
They're still going to have... They've still got TB12 under center.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is you're still going to have to respect the speed of Rashad Perryman. You're still going to have to respect Russell Gage, who's a professional NFL wide receiver. You're still going to have to respect Scotty Miller. So the Packers are not going to be able to they could have loaded the box against the Bears and said, we'll take our chances with, the ghost of Cole Kmet.
Poor Cole Kmet.
Poor Cole Kmet. How about poor Cole Kmet fantasy managers?
We should get a jersey up there for Cole Kmet just to do something for him because apparently Matt Everflus won't.
Yeah,
why
don't we get Cole Kmet's actual jersey? Yeah. We don't even have to wash it because it's clean. We just throw it up there. I'm just saying. It's not Cole Kmet's fault. It is
that franchise. Your fault.
It is not your Cole. It is not your fault.
Goodwill Hunting.
Yes.
Okay.
It is not your fault. Yeah, exactly. Where's Robin Williams? We need him to hug Cole Kmet. So anyway, my expectation here is that with Tom Brady under center, you're still going to have to respect the pass if you're the Green Bay Packers. I think Fournette has just a monster game. I have him as an easy RB1 this week.
Yep.
We mentioned David Montgomery running all over the Green Bay Packers last week. I'm not a David Montgomery fan. No. I'm not a David Montgomery stan. I like him slightly less than Cole Kmet. But if ever there was a David Montgomery week, Jay Croucher, this is a David Montgomery week. Last week, in a game where they were losing, this is a guy who got 80% of the offensive snaps for the Chicago Bears. He's had 20 or more touches in 7 of his last 9 games dating back to last season. The Bears lead the NFL in rush rate. They do not want Justin Fields throwing, which seems odd.
Very strange.
It's very strange, but look, it's a good matchup with the Texans. The Texans have been feisty and plucky and, every adjective you want to use.
They're also bad.
They're punching above their weight, but they're also bad. Even the Broncos, whose offense is brutal, even Denver was able to run all over them last week. No team has allowed more rushing yards to opposing running backs through the first 2 weeks than the Houston Texans. You're looking at 20 touches for David Montgomery against a defense that you can run on. Give me David Montgomery this week as an upside play, top 15 running back for me.
Bears -2.5 home to the Texans. Might be the one game all season where game script works in a running back's favor on Chicago. All right, anyone else you love you want to quickly hit on?
Just said my others receiving votes. So these are guys that, I think are either viable flex plays, or if you have to search a little deeper, maybe you're looking for DFS real quickly. Josh Jacobs, he's getting a lot of work. 88% of the running back carry so far for the Raiders. They are actually favored against Tennessee, so game script should work in Josh Jacobs' favors. You can run on the Titans, who have allowed the third most rushing yards to opposing running backs. Jeff Wilson Jr., again, he's all they've got in San Francisco. That's the Sunday night game right here on NBC and Peacock. Broncos allow 4.7 yards per carry to opposing running backs through the first 2 weeks. 103 total yards on 20 touches in week 2 for Jeff Wilson Jr. With TDP out, Jordan Mason a rookie. They're just getting Marlon Mack up to speed. Jimmy Garoppolo under center. Expect a heavy dose of Wilson against the Denver Broncos on Sunday night. And finally, Dameon Pierce. Free Dameon Pierce.
He's back.
It didn't happen in week 1. It finally happened in week 2. He got 100% of the running back carries in week 2. 88% of all the running back touches for the Texans. We expect them to be competitive with Chicago. As we saw with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on Sunday night last week, you can run on the Chicago Bears. They've allowed the 5th most rushing yards to opposing running backs. Give me Dameon Pierce, who I have as a top 25 running back this week.
What's going on in Houston? Lovie Smith just wakes up one day. It's Damian Smith Day today. Dameon Pierce Day today. It's and it was Rick Burkhead Day.
I think Lovie Smith wakes up and goes, "Can you believe they made me a head coach again? Can you believe someone gave me a shot? I'm good." Lovie Smith is loving life.
All right, negative side of things. Derrick Henry, who is probably the most negative player of all the big names in terms of how they started the season. Now, the first thing I want to call out with this, the Raiders are -2.5 point favorites in Tennessee.
That's
Tennessee
right.
were the 1 seed last year. If they played in week 2 of the playoffs last year, the line would have been Titans -6.
Right.
It's 8.5 point swing, and that's not just Devontae Adams coming to the Raiders. The market thinks that the Titans are a disaster.
Is it because they watch football? Is it because the market watches football and they're like, because the Titans are a disaster? Is that what it is? Think about that.
Bad.
West Coast team coming east for a 1 o'clock game, and the Raiders, who are 1-1, are
they're 0-2.
Oh, I'm sorry, they're 0-2. That's right. It's an 0-2 team traveling east for a West Coast 0-2 team traveling east for a 1 o'clock game, and they're getting 2.5.
They're giving 2.5 points to the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, they're right. Exactly. Sorry. I'm all discombobulated. Yes, the Titans are 2.5 point underdogs at home.
It's unbelievable.
To the Raiders.
And a part of that is that Derrick Henry doesn't look like the same guy at all. He's had 34 carries. None have gone for more than 18 yards. He's not breaking anything. He's not getting the same yards after contact. The offensive line is banged up. Any reason for optimism, or is it all grim?
You're hoping he falls into the end zone. Like, if they get in close, they're going to give him the ball. And so, if there's a reason for optimism, it's that with nothing else working on the offense, do they go Chicago style? Like, it doesn't matter what the score is. It's just going to be King Henry. We're going to just feed the big guy, right? Feed the big dog. But since he returned from injury, he's averaging 3.1 yards per carry. He's had under 12.5 fantasy points in all the games dating back to last year's playoffs as well, right? As you see it here on your screen. Week 1 against the Giants, week 2 against the Bills this year, and then, of course, that divisional round game against the Bengals last year. He did score at least in that game, but he looks old, man. He looks slow. He looks old. He looks game script dependent. And again, we're expecting them to be down in this game. MGM has them as 2.5 point underdogs to the Raiders. So I'm nervous. The hate list is not about players. It's about sort of expectations. And you drafted Derrick Henry to be a no-brainer, set it and forget it RB1, and he just doesn't feel like that this week. I think you still likely have to start him.
Yep.
I have him outside my top 10. I have him lower than I ever have before. You're probably still starting him, and you're hoping for a touchdown. That's what you're hoping for with Derrick Henry.
The other concern with Henry is the 2 games before what we showed on screen before he got hurt. I think it was Colts-Chiefs, where he wasn't getting the big splash plays then either. It's been a while since we've seen Derrick Henry. It's probably the Monday night game against the Bills last season where he went off, but we haven't seen that guy in a while. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's had a great start to the season.
He's been great.
But you don't like him.
I don't like him this week. I think he's a sell high. A couple things that are concerned. First off, yes, he's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Okay, he's caught He's got 7 of 7 targets for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns so far this year, right? But first, not a great matchup with the Colts. They allow an NFL low 2.75 yards per carry to opposing running backs. He's got 12 or fewer, despite CEH being really good last 2 weeks, he's still got under 12 or fewer touches in each game. Like, he's not getting massive volume. He's just been insanely efficient. He's had 0 goal line carries, right? I mean, so basically what you're hoping for is that he, like when they've gotten in close, they've given Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon caught one last week on Thursday. I don't know. I'm nervous about the fact that you're basically banking on touchdowns with CEH because he's not getting the usage, right? I mean, he's literally played on 39% of snaps for the Chiefs, and so there is some passing game usage as well, but I think just people are thinking like, oh, this is a top 5 guy. I'm outside my top 20 in week number 3.
Yep, Colts not doing much right so far, but they are defending the rush pretty well.
Yeah.
And then also with CEH, I mean, it's not just the touchdowns. You're depending on these splash plays that are going 30, 40 yards that he's getting, and you can't depend on that. What you can depend on is usage, and that's not there for him right now. This is a proper timeshare with McKinnon, with Pacheco also looming.
On a pass-first team. And again, like, he is getting some passing down work, so I think he's viable in a PPR league, but he's currently like a top 5 fantasy running back, and that's inflated by the touchdowns and the fact that no other running back is really doing anything. I'm nervous about him this week at Indianapolis, a desperate Colts team that must win this game.
Yep, that line is moving as well. It got out close to 7, now 5.5, so some money coming in on the Colts at MGM. Next guy, Cordarrelle Patterson, who was out of his mind in week 1, came back to earth in week 2. By his presence on this list, I'm suspecting you think there's more in store of week 2.
You're not just boyish good looks, Jay Croucher. Well, way to put that together right there. The problem is the passing game usage just hasn't been there. He's gone over 20 receiving yards just twice in his last 10 games. And so what Patterson has hung his hat on is touchdowns and volume. And he got it in week 1, to your point. Tyler Algier was a healthy scratch. Damian Williams leaves that game very early. But last week, Tyler Algier was healthy. He was up and he played. And he got the same number of carries. Cordarrelle Patterson and Tyler Algier both got 10 carries last week. Both goal-to-go carries didn't go to Patterson. They went to Algier.
Yep.
Now, again, I'm not saying that's the right decision, right? Would I make Kyle Pitts a blocking tight end? I would not. That is not what I would do. But who knows? It's Arthur Smith's world. We're just living in it. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't seem like they're using Patterson in the same way they did last year, that the week 1 usage was kind of fluky because of Williams going out and Algier not being up. So the fact that Algier should be active this week in a game against Seattle that we think is going to be one of the lower scoring games in the NFL. The last line I saw was 42 on MGM. So we don't expect a ton of fireworks in this game. Games in Seattle as well. So in essence, basically, you're talking about a timeshare on Cordarrelle Patterson is in a timeshare in a low scoring game on the road at Seattle. I have Patterson outside my top 25.
Okay. Firstly, I like that you called me boyish, despite my 3 children, which kind of counteracts the boyish, but that is fine.
Look at my hairline. Everyone's boyish to me.
Okay.
Dude.
Cordarrelle Patterson, the problem with him is that last year he had 3 games of 80-plus receiving yards. He's got 16 receiving yards in 2 games.
Yeah,
he's not getting the passing game usage.
Right.
Also, that line...
He's like a young Kyle Pitts and not getting the passing game usage.
Exactly.
Right.
Now,
It's Drake London. Well, like the whole Falcons offense, as we heard from Arthur Smith earlier in the week, the whole Falcons offense is all about scheming open Cordarrelle Hodge. That's what they're doing with Pitts. It's what they're doing with Cordarrelle Patterson. It's just, as long as they can just get Cordarrelle Hodge open, they can lose in style. Okay. When we come back, we'll talk more love-hate. Wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends. We've got other positions to get to. It's all happening. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.